Hey. Hello, everybody, and good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever we are in the world today. So, we want to say thank you for stopping in to the fantastic show that we have in store for you today, right? Going from live, going from unwrapping the 7 Ds of autism to having some clarity, some hope, and a vision of how things can shift for you if you're that one, that family that's stuck or coming through things, standing up, showing up, doing what you have to do, but you really, some days are, if you can't take another breath, can't take another step. Well, if that's you, I want to let you know you're in the right place. And if you're on the other side of that and you've got some things, some systems in place and some processes that you could share, please, if you stop in here, use the chat in the comment section as a place to communicate with us, right? So our ask, so we can get this thing going, is a couple of different things. One, as I just mentioned, right, let us know where you are, where you're coming from, and maybe what part of this piece of life you're dealing with or that you're curious about, or you're kind of in between that and you just found out and you're not sure what's happening. So I want to say thank you for stopping in again and also appreciate the support we get from Comeback King Enterprises, who are sponsors these programs and conversation with Geoff, who hosts these. So, and my name, by the way, is Geoff Tyson, and I'm affectionately known as the Comeback King. And I'm excited to bring to you our guest and a woman that has done amazing things, a mom in and around autism, and has, went from battling to being an advocate to this place, to this space, all over the place. So here's what's going to happen this morning. We're going to ask you to, as I mentioned, when you come in, let us know where you're from. Let us know what this thing means to you. And if you have any questions along the way, let's participate. We want this to be a conversation, right, as well as a process to educate, elevate, and alleviate some of the strain and struggles that you might be dealing with in your family, whether you're doing it as a couple, whether you're doing it by yourself, or you got a combination and things are just still not getting where you want them to be, you are in the right place. So last thing I want you to do is make sure you contact anybody that you know that needs to be here for the next 40 minutes or so that they too can gain some information that we believe can help reset, refocus, and if you're not, help you get re-engaged with being that parent that you know you want to be. So anyway, hey, listen. All right, enough of that stuff. So let me just say this again. My friend and our next guest, Tiffany Coleman, is a mom who's experienced this stuff. She's done the journey mostly on her own, going from the struggle to the advocacy spot, an author, speaker, coach. So ladies and gentlemen, this morning, help me bring to our conversations with my friend, Tiffany Coleman.
Hello on this bright Saturday morning. I want bright colors so we can have some sunshine wherever we are. Well, it's sunshine where you are.
You always bring sunshine. So yes. You always bring sunshine. Yes. We're so glad to have you here this morning, Tiffany. So thank you for carving out some time on your busy day to bring some light to sometimes what feels like a real dark subject. Sometimes it's got to be a heavy subject. Sometimes it really is something that we have to really work with. So why don't you tell the folks what we're in store for today? All right.
So yes, today we want to talk about autism as we begin to approach Disabilities Month, Disabilities Awareness Month. We want to shed light on autism today. What it looks like, what the diagnosis process is, and just talk a little bit about some of the feelings that sometimes are attached to it. A lot of times, people who aren't sure once they get the diagnosis, they go through the D's. The D's are disappointment. It could be that, at one point they thought that their child's future was going to look one way, but it now looks totally different. So what we want to do is go from advocacy to getting them to a place of agony to advocacy. And so we want to make sure that we give the right information. We try to help them understand that they're not the only ones going through it. We all have somebody in our family that has a disability, be it maybe autism, or it could be Down syndrome or ADHD. We just want to make sure that there is a community and a place where they can go to.
That is.
Uh-oh. So it looks like there's some technical difficulties. But again, we want to make sure that we are there and we are providing information. So today, I just want to touch base with what is autism? What is it? What does it look like? How do I get a diagnosis? If I have a diagnosis, what in the world do I do now? Because I say I was like the spinning plate lady, unsure of what I needed to do. It brings anxiety. It brings fear. It brings, oh my God, am I enough as a parent? But what we have to understand is in this space and in this place, I want to offer to all of us grace. Give yourself grace to learn, grace to go through it, and know that you are graced with now a community that is willing to help in any way that we can.
Yeah. I appreciate that. But even though our intentions might be solid, and there's still some folks, I mean, you're a living example. Why don't just I know we've talked about it before, but I think it's always important for people to kind of see who you are today, Tiffany, but also more importantly, that moment when you were in this space that we're talking about, what was it like for you?
So it was very isolating. Typically what you see in our community, it typically takes our children a lot longer to be diagnosed. It took 8 years. I felt like I was in agony. I was exhausted. I had banged on every door that was out there, and it seemed like they were all being closed in my face. I didn't understand that, hey, there's certain lingo I need to be able to speak. There's certain things I needed to know. So what I had to do was educate myself. And I just want to encourage those that are listening today to understand that you are the greatest advocate for your child, for your family member, for your loved one. You have to gain the knowledge to be able to ask the right questions. And it's okay to ask questions.
Yeah. I was thinking about why you were talking about couple things. One, oftentimes we already have some level of intimidation that we're dealing with around that, and then we have the agony and all the other emotions that are going on. So what would be like? What's one night if they don't do anything else in terms of beginning that journey, starting to see themselves as that advocate, getting beyond the limitations that are evident but not true, right? You talked about that. What that person that says, yeah, that's good for you, but I still don't hear you. I ain't feeling you.
Sure. As you walk through each day, you have to walk with determination. And determination is sometimes just enough to get through that day. And I always think about in the Bible, it talks about, God gives us our daily bread. And sometimes we want to get a smorgasbord. We want to have it all at once. But sometimes it's just those little things and being consistent at those little things, those little options that you choose each and every day to wake up and with the right attitude. Because sometimes we get a nasty, stinking thinking, and we feel like, well, God, why did you burden me with this? Because sometimes it feels like a burden. Let's just be honest. But we have to look at it as a gift, and that God trusted you enough. Your child with your loved one, he trusted you enough because he doesn't trust everybody.
Yeah. I love that. So when I hear you saying trust, you, that mom, that dad, that parent, that means what I'm hearing is that whatever comes along with the things that cause the struggles and all of that he trusts that you will find a way to be the parent that child needs. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely true. Sometimes we don't know what's in us until we have these gifts given to us. And I thank God every day for the challenges that I went through with my sons. It took 8 years of fighting. I say fighting, I sometimes we want to use the nice word advocating, but I was fighting to get services. I was fighting. And not only was I fighting for them, I was fighting my own fight internally, my own illness. And here I was as a caregiver to my parent. And so I was bogged down. I was like, Lord, don't give me something else. Because I feel like a pack mule. But the thing is this, he puts weights on those that can support it. And so we have to understand that this is just part of the journey. And throughout the journey, we're going to have to stop. Sometimes we have to rest. Sometimes we have to go find somebody else to help us carry the load, but don't stop. Be determined and understand that you are graced for this.
No, I love that, all that stuff around encouraging words, and you're built supportively to carry the weight, all those things, and you're doing that because that, and I appreciate your honesty and candidness.
Yes.
Like, at the end of the day, we can talk about how much we love our children and how much we have the strength and all of that, but we're also human too.
That's right.
And so it's okay to say, dang,
right.
think about voting if you need to think about it, but you don't have to do it. Think about screaming if you want to scream, if you don't have to do it, right? I mean, that's okay.
Yes.
To do that. I think it's just necessary, man. And it's a human process, right? And like you're saying, be supportive. So I don't want to get you off track. I got you moving all over the place. And I know you have the term so you started talking about some at the beginning, so that if you'd like, you can go back to what you were saying, and I'll kind of just
quiet. So part of, we're talking about the D's of autism. Sometimes you feel like you feel depressed. You feel like, okay, I've got this diagnosis. What am I going to do with it? I've got some information. I've gathered something off of Google. I've done all these things, but you go through a weightiness, a period where you feel like, what am I going to do? So that's one of those D's. You have a lot of times in relationships, as we look at marriages, what happens is they tend to fall apart because of division. When one parent wants to go and find therapies, there may be another one that is in denial, that says, you know what? I don't believe what these people are saying. My uncle didn't talk till he was 2, but it's okay. This too shall pass. No, we have to be determined and understanding. A lot of times, if you are feeling something inside and you know that there's something wrong, your intuition is correct. God gives us that gift. And so we cannot diminish that. We cannot diminish the fact that we know what is wrong. We are our child, our loved one's greatest caregiver and advocate. So don't diminish.
Yeah, that's really, I love that, because people, I keep saying we're already we feel against the wall anyway, somewhat limited with just the exposure and who we're talking to, and the whole medical posture, and they can't be challenged and they can't be wrong. So I love that. So, when you say intuition, I hear you say, trust your gut.
That's right.
Yeah. Then trust your gut, and that inner voice, which is the spirit we all walk and carry, is the one saying, hey,
hello.
Yeah. If it doesn't smell right, it probably doesn't smell right for a reason.
That's right.
It doesn't feel right. Yeah. So really, really encouraging words today, this morning so far. So, and I know we've got a series of D's, just to kind of reset the day. A series of these, and you won't get to all of them. So if you want to hang around determination a little bit more, or you want to go back to where you were moving?
So let me first start the structure. What first we see is a lot of times denial. We see parents that, they really just don't know where to go, or maybe they do see things, but they're just like, you know what, they'll grow out of it. It is so important to allow yourself a moment to sit there, but don't stay there. That's what we don't want you to do. So what we want you to do is think about the next part. The next D is diagnosis. Diagnosis is so important. It's not just good enough to walk around and say, well, I think they've got this. No, you need to get a diagnosis. And a lot of times in our communities, we don't want the label. But the thing is this, if you had a child that had a bad tooth, you would take them to the dentist. So we have to get out of that mindset that, hey, I don't want anyone to know. It is so important for diagnosis, not just for autism, but we see in the African American community, a lot of times there are comorbid or coinciding diagnosis. So let's say your child has autism. They may also be predisposed to diseases like epilepsy. They may be predisposed to, especially in multiples, Fragile X syndrome. There's some heart-related issues that come with some of the diagnoses. So we want to make sure that we don't just limit and say, hey, well, I know they've got autism. Get a good specialist. Have multiple practitioners. These are all part of the toolkit to help you, part of the community to help you. And then the next part is decision making. You need someone other than just yourself on your side. And if that is contacting one of us, if that is finding your Autism Speaks community, finding a support group, a church group, any of those people that can come walk alongside you and help you through this journey.
Yeah, I want to thank you. I want to back you up for just a second for around the communities that still struggle with the pride and the refusal to go beyond their own personal feelings to get the right help.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, it's happened. It happens whether someone's sick and we don't know about it until they're gone. So it's always, keep all that stuff behind the clothes. What goes up beyond our doors stays behind our doors mentality. So what would be if they were going to kind of do something? Did you already name, or could you name a place that is easy accessible for them?
Sure.
Do,
Sure. We used to have phone books, so it said let your fingers do the talking. Well, you do the walking. So now we have the internet. Yeah. Search. Do a blanket search on autism. There's Autism Speaks. There are Facebook groups. There are specific Facebook groups for certain communities of color. Certain find your heritage. Google it. Find out what is available. There are support groups. Sometimes we think, well, my child has autism. Easter seals. There are some Down syndrome communities because, again, you have co-occurring diagnosis. So think outside of the box. Don't just say, well, I'm just going to stay in the autism group. No, it's a grand sphere. And so we want to find community wherever we can.
Yeah, I love the word you just said, grand sphere. And my wife and I were just talking last night about there's never a reason for you not to know something.
That's right.
She was very polite, y'all, about going to do it. I'm saying stop whining, grab your phone, stop playing with TikTok, and do some research and stand in that space. So, I mean, that's my side. Don't look at Tiffany that way. I said it.
and that is so true. And then what people a lot of times don't do, they have one doctor. They have their regular, pediatrician. No, on board a specialist, whether that is in genetics. Sometimes in our community, we don't think about the fact that what is going on genetically. Is this something that is constantly reoccurring? We want to make sure that, hey, what is it that we can do in this generation to help the next generation. Because of a lack of knowledge, the people perish. And so if we get the information through practitioners that are educated on the subject, if we sit in conferences, I do panel discussions all the time. And I just want to encourage you. A lot of times they're virtual. You can sit in the comfort of your own home. If your child has a behavioral problems, you can sit and listen and glean important information and resources to help you through. You are not alone. I felt like I was alone. And it is my goal to make sure that no one else feels that way.
Yeah. And kind of at times, at first you were.
Yeah.
You shared, so that's the real thing. You not only felt that way, but you are that way, was that way for you. Just like it is for someone out there today, that you might not be on this call directly, but you might be on or hear this and know that. So we encourage you, right, to share this information. There's going, I'm twisting Tiffany's arm to put something together that and really begin to create a journey from wherever you are, from despair to pleasure, right, and or from a higher level of enjoyment, because you've already done some of the things that she's going to probably talk about and find out. So let's talk more about the 3Ds. I'm going to be quiet and let you keep going.
So again, a lot of times we feel depressed, we feel disengaged, we feel we feel in dismay, because it's like, okay, I've got this diagnosis. I don't know what to do. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so what I would say is each and every day, it is a daily task. There's another D. It is a daily task. So what I did, and I incorporated in my household, was ensuring that there was some structure. And so what I did was, we had what was called mommy work. My sons were nonverbal. I remember at first having to show them how to use sign language to say what they wanted. If they wanted more of something, then we would sign that. And then little by little, what I would do was every day for a few hours, I would sit down with them after the educational system had them maybe for the day. I took it upon myself to create structure, to create routineness. And what we did was mommy work. These were supplemental things. I was able to get this information off the computer. I would give them games that were fun. If it was, you got to learn your numbers, hey, why not make it fun? They had no clue.
Yeah.
Now they did sometimes, because they were like, look, we don't want to do this.
I'm still a child. I feel like, well, I don't want to play.
That's right. Something as simple as a game of Connect Four, teaching them their numbers, their colors. It's something fun. They have adaptive Connect Four, where there's balls and they get to throw them in and make sure. And so make it fun. Don't make it feel like, oh my God, it's burdensome. Look at it as quality time that's being invested with you and your child, that also teaches them the social skills. Make them sit down, have them learn how to take turns, because what we see in children with autism is you have a lot of organizational issues. You have a lot of executive functioning deficiencies. And so and social cueing is very difficult for them. So do it in-house. Create a chore wall so that they can, okay, you got to do one thing. Even if they're little guys, make sure that they can go get the mail every day. And that's their job. Make them feel important so that they don't feel diminished, because when they're out in the world, a lot of times people are already telling them who they are and who they're not going to be. But when they're in your home, make sure that they feel like they're a vital part of your family, and that you are happy to have them and utilize whatever gifts that they have.
Wow. Woo. I mean, I'm just social cueing, chore wall, creating tasks to elevate their confidence. And you don't have to have a medical degree to do what we're talking about here.
No.
You don't have to have a big bank account.
No.
talking about. So again, guys, you're the excuse smasher.
That's right.
So it's really about doing some other things that we'll probably talk about. And maybe now is the time for, you're talking about all these other things, but what about that parent who is like, I'm about to go. I don't care what you're saying. If that parent hears this message, before they do, what can you share?
I just want to say that I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, still going through it. So every day I just say, I wake up and I say, you know what, Lord, guide my footsteps. And I remember that I've got to make it through today. And some days that's all you can make it through is today. It's not looking down the line, although we a lot of times have anxieties because of that, because we don't know what the future is going to hold. But I can assure you, if you just take it day by day and look and find a goal for that day, sometimes the goal is just getting up and them sitting down for a moment. Just make it something small. You don't have to do hours and hours. Start with 5 minutes. Get a timer. Start with 5 minutes. Say, you know what? We're going to sit here for 5 minutes and we're going to read for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
If your child's not verbal, one thing I share with people, a strategy is if they watch TV, turn on the captions. Because as they see the words going, they hear the sounds, it's being processed. And so if they watch TV, great. Let them put the captions on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I see that because I haven't done a lot of scientific studies, but what I've seen with the acute level of higher level intelligence that the children possess, right? That we don't necessarily even pay attention to, helps them, right? So I could see the captions being something that's like, ooh, learn this, and they are capable of doing things, man. It's just finding the right lane to do that, and for the parent that's still there, that it's really. I mean, I don't know. I do know why I'm talking, and I'm going to ask you some more around the parent that's still, just struggling and it's hard and to deal with. I see them out in public, and that parent is just like you can just see the
devastation.
He's carrying that he or she's carrying that with them, worn out.
Yes.
And I'm like, man, I get it.
Yes.
I mean, I get it. And so you coming here and sharing your story and doing that stuff that you've done throughout your life with your sons is powerful.
Yes.
So,
yes. And I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have, in fact, that's what started me doing the therapy. I say my own mommy therapies at home. It was because it was outrageous, the cost for occupational therapy, speech therapy. So, and a lot of times you're on waiting lists for years. So you may get a diagnosis, but in the meantime, in between time, you want to make sure that they're in the therapeutic settings. And so what I learned was, hey, I've got to do this at home. If I want them to learn to read, then guess what? I had to sacrifice, and I had to say, you know what? We're going to sit down. And that's hard for us because we come home from our jobs. We're overwhelmed by the emotional toll that it takes. But I say it this way: pay now or pay later. What you want to do is you want to invest that time. I don't care if it's just 5 minutes. Do 5 minutes for a month. If it's then kind of graduate to 10 minutes. Do what you can, even if it's just showing them their letters. If they're little guys, just show them their letters. Work on 1 letter a day. 1 letter a day. And that is what consistency is, what is important.
Yeah.
It's not the amount of time, but it is the consistency. Our children with autism, adults with autism, they need routineness. They
Yeah.
need a schedule. Make sure you have visual aids to help them throughout the day so that that alleviates some of that stress and reduces the number of tantrums or breakdowns. Make sure you have some sensory items. Go buy a little dollar store fidget. Take them to the dollar store. Let
Yeah.
them find something that is important to them. My son's things were trains. So what I would do is, I remember when they were in kindergarten, they would break down crying because, again, they weren't verbal. And what I didn't want is someone to label them something they were not.
Yeah.
What it was that they didn't have the ability to verbalize what their needs were. So they would just cry. They weren't violent. They weren't doing anything crazy. They
Yeah.
just, that was what they did. And so what I did is I asked the teacher, I said, well, he loves the train. So that reminds him of home. So I got permission to have a train on his desk so that would remind him that he was at home.
Wow.
You know, that there was something from home there.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that you can do that are not high cost involved. Weighted blankets to help soothe, things like that. Music.
Yeah.
You know, just create a space in your home. I don't care if it's just a beanbag chair for $20.
Yeah.
Create a space that's theirs, that's
Yeah.
comforting, and you know, utilize it.
Yeah. 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 You know, because here's what I envision doing those things at home consistently with, like you're saying, 5 minutes, because 5 minutes turns to 10 minutes and 10 minutes turns to 20 and et cetera, et cetera. So the timing and the consistency is there. So, you know, I have to, I've got a guy here in Houston. He's done amazing things with his son.
Mhm.
And, you know, and because they couldn't afford the therapy, right? He just really kind of like you did, figured out the time you spent, you had intention.
That's right.
Right. I mean, there was a plan and you wanted, and I wrote down, I communicate. You knew how your children could communicate. How many parents are out there that don't know how to even do that?
That's right. That's right. That's right. And you've got to know your child better than anyone else. Yes, you send them to school, but you should know more than the teacher does about where they are developmentally, where they are educationally, so that you can better prepare for IEP meetings, those meetings that you have to go into. I was in the educational system, and what bothered me the most was how many parents came in and they just signed off. This is a legally binding contract between you and the educational system. It wasn't read. They just went with whatever they said, never advocating and pushing back and saying, you know what? Well, when I'm doing this at home, because I was able to say this, when I'm doing this at home with them, they're not at that level that you're claiming that they are.
Yeah.
So how do you now, that gives you the leverage to be able to say, well, you know what? You're saying they don't need this service, but what I'm seeing at home, and then making sure you have that practitioner that's also has some assessments to back with the data that says, you know what? Hey, I think I'm going to have to push back, and I'm going to have to ask for. You're saying they only need 10 minutes of OT this week. Well, guess what? I want us to work together, and it's not to be in a hostile tone, but it is to work with them, because you can't have the expectation that the school is going to do everything. It is a collaborative effort between home and the educational system and the medical system. You have to work together as a team.
Yeah. But ultimately, no one's going to save you.
That's right. That's right. They may throw you a life preserver, but you gotta kind of pull yourself as well.
All right. You have to do that. and I get it. I mean, I know the pain, and I may sound a little harsh in some of the things I'm saying, but I want you to know, folks that are listening, that it is out of sincerity to the point that it gets you to hang in there, the point that gets you to start to think about some of the things that Tiffany is talking about, some of the things that you can do at home, right? And you mentioned the practitioner several times as a resource. They're more affordable at times. They're more open to some non-traditional medical practices and all the things that are studied on a certain line of vertical children, and not including the rest and all the other things around the social environment that the kids suffer with. So I just, man, I have so much hope when I hear you talking about this for this situation for children, kids out there and parents out there, right? And
Yes.
doing that. So now we're moving through. You mentioned determination, dismay, and the disability destinies, and so what have we missed anybody? I'm thinking of phase one is like, I found out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And those D's all apply through that process. Have we,
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we could talk about around that, like when you finally
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. And I really didn't touch much on diminished. A lot of times what
Yeah.
we see in the school systems and what we see out in the communities is people tend to put these individuals in boxes. And they say, well, Johnny, he's got this label, so let's sit him on the wall and let him sit here in school and not have much of a standard for them. I just don't believe in that. I believe that you have to stay determined. You have to understand that I call them subject matter experts. Each and every one of these individuals has at least one, maybe two, maybe three things that they are an expert in.
Yeah.
I had one child that was an expert in phones. He could see you walk through the door and know what type of phone you had, what it did, all of the features and accessories. I had one kid that was a subject matter expert in vacuum cleaners. My children are subject matter experts in sports. They can tell you at about 3, they could give me the full draft, all 300 players, and spelled all their names correctly, but they couldn't tie their shoes, so and that's just an example, is that they have a brightness that has to be unlocked. And so it is up to you as a parent to figure out what that thing is. If it is whatever it is, if it's statistics, if it's words, some kids, words are their thing. They can read words that they shouldn't be able to read.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yes. So don't diminish who they are. Find their niche, find their place, and find things that will interest them. If their fixation is sports, then hey, let's see, are you good physically with sports? If not, then let's look at, hey, what about sports media? What about broadcasting? What is it that you can do for the future? Because what I want to encourage individuals to understand, that they can have a bright future and a destiny, and don't diminish down and say, you know what, they've got this, they're not going to become anything. Because what I tell my sons is this: I'm not going to be here forever. So I have to make sure that you are prepared. And I hate to have to say that, but that is one lesson I learned when losing my parents. I said, you know what? We prepare our children to live life, to grow up, but we do not prepare them for our demise. And so it is so important to begin to make the right decisions, that other D, that decision making sure that they have the right education, understanding what the parameters are once they graduate from high school. What is that going to look like? Are they going to want to live independently? Are they going to want to, are they able to drive? Are they able to hold down a job? If not, what do I need to do to prepare them?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's like, holy smokes. That was really powerful in terms of, preparing. Cause I was sitting here thinking, cause my mom, and I love her, God, the rest of her soul. She, I was that kid. This example, stay with me, because I know I was that kid that really struggled in school, and kids made fun of me. So, but I heard about this class that you could go to that, where people get on the small bus, got on the little yellow bus to go to, and I would see those kids, and and I'm a kid now watching another kid at school, and they just played. They weren't doing anything. They didn't have to do some of the things I was struggling with in school, right? Like trying to read, trying to write. And I remember saying, I want to go I want to go to that class. And my mother said, "Where'd you get that idea from?" And anyway, long story short, she talked about advocacy. I said, "In no way will you drive my son to that class."
Okay.
All right. And whether it's directly or indirectly. So we have to be careful about the ones that are in the classroom sometimes. What my point. And have you found that to be something that's, I know I'm not unique. I've been the only one to experience that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that is part of acceptance and making that child feel confident regardless of what label they have. Because I say it this way, sometimes, and I try to tell parents this, sometimes you need the label to get the resources, the things that you need, and look at it in terms of that. Don't look at it as a label that's stamped on their forehead that says, you're not going to do anything. It's like the scarlet letter, it's not that. It is understanding that they may learn totally differently. That's it. It may take them more time, but they can learn. Don't diminish them. Don't say, oh, you know what? I'm not even going to try. Try each and every day. Try one thing, something. And maybe you're going to have to do that one thing for a month until they get it. And a lot of times they have memory recall issues. You might have to do it again and again and again.
And again, yes.
I tell you, I have a friend that had a son that was nonverbal. And I said, hey, this is what you need to do. And he was like, oh, whatever. Because they're like, okay, yeah. But he would line all of his ABCs up. Like every time, if he went to a store, he wanted this pack of the magnet ABCs. So he had the little structure there. I knew that was his fixation.
Yeah.
I said, hey, get him some therapies, try these things. And lo and behold, this young man started talking. It was going to the store, and he saw something he liked, and he said, Dad. And so it may seem like it's not going to happen, but sometimes it's just something has to be unlocked in them.
Yeah.
And so you, as a parent, may have that key. And so just remember, you are the keeper of the keys. And, I say it this way. I'm not, I pray they become nuclear physicists, but if they don't, guess what? That we might hold them being independent as, they became a nuclear physicist to me,
Yes.
So,
Yes. Yeah, I get it, because I'm thinking about a friend of mine whose son was able to graduate and then live on his own and had a job. And I don't know how, I have talked to him in a long time, and I saw the progression.
Yes.
That's like,
it does something for you. It does. And each family, when I get to interact, and they call me back and they say, you know what? I wasn't a believer, but you're right. If I do this, it worked. They started doing, and again, it's small things. We have to be grateful for the small miracles. The small miracles. And I always say this, that to that parent that feels like, hey, this is just unbearable. I go into hospitals where parents wish that they had their children at home acting up because they're monitors or they're paraplegics or whatever. And so we have to be grateful for the gifts that God has given us.
Mm. Yeah, it really is about seeing all of these things we're talking about as a lifestyle. This so happens to be the lifestyle that you're in, and that they're not limitations. They are, designed to create the strength so that you can discover how your children respond, so you can create a safe environment for your children at home. Yes. And you can do this on your own if that's what it looks like. Right. I love what you just said, and the gentleman Austim, Hugo, my friend, he just did it. I mean, what I'm hearing you say, I mean, that's what when he was talking to me, he said, man, the doctor said this or they said that, but I did something different at home, and I was consistent about it. I made it fun around that, and it's proven that when our body is excited and we're fun and we're having fun, we learn better, we retain it better, right? So all those things fit into who we become, but it still takes that parent to do that.
And we have to remember, as parents, we're their first teachers. Don't be dependent on the educational system. Work with them. I love, and I'm encouraged when I go into, their classroom or whatever, and the teachers are like, "Oh, you actually work with your kids." They're like surprised, like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "Doesn't everyone else?" But it's so important, and because you want them to become the most independent, the most able-bodied individual that they can become. Yeah. And again, I just always think of that day when I am no longer here. And I think, and that's a burden that from the beginning of a diagnosis to the day you probably take your last breath as parents is what will it look like? But what I say is this, I want to prepare them. Yeah. Prepare them. You are doing them a disservice by not doing that.
And to that point, look, I have not had that type of level of challenge in raising children, but I've had challenges, and so I'll say this to, like I said to myself, hey, like you said, Tiffany, if nothing else, hold on to the responsibility of making sure that when you are no longer there, that they are capable to exist. Yes. Right. Make that the goal. Make that the reason. Right. And man, I get goosebumps when I think about how powerful that vision could be. Like for parents that are, all right, I got to get myself out of the way. I got to, this is our situation. Right. So what? I don't have to have a lot of money. I don't have to have scientists. I can, there's some resources out there available. I have to just stop whining.
That's right. And I had to do that. You give yourself the grace to be in that moment and have your moments, because you're going to have your moments. You're going to have moments that you cry. You're going to have moments that you are like, I cannot handle this anymore. You are going to have those moments. Let me not sugarcoat this. You are going to have those moments, but allow yourself those moments. There was sometimes the only place I could go was go into the bathroom and have a moment for myself. Yeah. Okay? I used to love to go to the grocery store because, they wouldn't go to the grocery store with me, but I would just walk up and down the aisles because that was my only free time. But but it is so important that you see it as an investment.
Yeah.
You are investing in the greatest, with the item, the person with the greatest return. The greatest return is going to be to see your child even just learn something new. It brings a joy like nothing else. It doesn't matter how much money, it doesn't matter about any of those things. And I always say this verse of the Bible that says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his own soul? And so I say it this way: what was it going to profit me? I had, a great career, all these things. If my children couldn't read and write, how was I going to feel as a parent? And so I'm not telling you you've got to have a bunch of money. I'm telling you you've got to have a heart to do it, and you've got to be consistent, and you've got to be determined and know that you can do it. And we will give you resources. We will stand alongside you. I thank you for the Comeback King, because he really wants you to come back from the depression of it, the agony of it. He wants you to understand that you can do this, and we will stand alongside you and help you usher your child into the next greatest season of their life.
Yeah. Wow. That's beautifully said. I mean, that's usher them to the next season.
Yes.
And find this. I was just going to say something. Where do you escape? And you said it, you finding a space to escape, right? I mean, and reset and recharge, refocus, whatever that R word is for you that day. And I thank you for your words, Tiffany, what you just said. And it's true. And I'm sitting here thinking, people may wonder, well, Geoff, what's in there for you? I was that kid without autism, and I got picked, and I see it. I see the cruelty, right? I mean, yeah. I see it, and I see how even the parents lose it on the children. And I'm like, man, no. There are people like Tiffany out here on this planet that are saying, hey, this is what I've discovered in my journey. Hey, here are the things that you can do on your own. Yeah. Oh, by the way, if you need more resources above and beyond my reach, I have access to those things. And yes, I want to be a part of your life. And all things equal, that there's opportunities to really grow in some of the things that you're doing. So I know we talked, and I kind of wind it down because this has been a great conversation, and I really appreciate you just showing up as always, and you're in your lane, man. You're in this zone. And so this week, and you and I talked about that. So are we able to kind of commit to showing up and maybe diving deep into some of the D's and some of the other things over the next? Can I get you to say yes to that? I'll put you on the spot.
Absolutely, because I would say I was ushered into this purpose. Sometimes the pain that we go through creates our purpose. Yeah. I never thought I would be in this space. 20 years ago, I had worked in some special education arenas, and did I think God would allow me to have children that now I had to utilize these skills? But God, he plays jokes on us sometimes, but the thing is everything is inside you that you're going to need. And the things that aren't there, guess what? We want to create a village that you can go to, that you can say, you know what? Today is not a good day, and we have those days, and feel like you can be vulnerable. You can be transparent, because I've been through it, done it, got your t-shirt, still going through it.
Still doing them 5 minutes. Still doing
shutting the door, crying sometimes, and praying a lot.
Yeah. So, hey, well, listen, thank you for committing to that, and we're looking forward to that stuff. How do you want to leave today's message? Because most people will hear the recording and some will have questions. How do you want to kind of wrap it up in the next couple of minutes?
I just want to say, you know what? I may look like, oh, she's got it all together. I was not. It was not all together. I was stressed out. I was overwhelmed. I was I was in dismay. But I want to take people from the agony of a diagnosis to the advocacy of it, and understanding that God allowed what he allowed, and he willed it. And he knew that you would be strong enough. He knew that you, despite the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of dealing with someone with a disability, it is a gift. And so if he gave you a gift, you definitely don't want to give it away. You want to unwrap it. And it is so important as we begin to teach you how to unwrap the gifts found within your loved one. We just want you to know that we are here for you. We are here to support you. And if there is anything that we can do to provide resources, provide information, we are not gatekeeping, as they say. We are going to ensure that you get that resource. If I don't know it, I'll say I don't know, but I will research it and I will find someone that can help you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tiffany, and how do folks, I always like to ask you, how do folks get a hold of you? I know they're going to see you all week, but next week, how do they get a hold of you in that?
So, of course, you can reach me on all the social media platforms. My name is Tiffany Colvin, Colvin.
Yeah. So I encourage everybody to do that. So, Tiffany, listen, I know it's Saturday. I don't know if you got sunshine where you are. We do here.
Not like you do. I had to put on my own sunshine.
Well, we're grateful that you did and grateful that you always show up with it. This has been amazing. I mean, there's tons of stuff in here. And I encourage everybody to, I'm got 2 pages of notes myself, and I need to go back and really just go through, because here's the thing, and before you go, and tell me what you think it is. Sometimes the little things that that you've used aren't sexy. They aren't exciting.
No.
Well, a lot of people, I think they don't believe it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just like when I talk to people about the comebacks in their lives, and you talk about, the mirror moment and just making a shift every time. And it's not sexy. It's not, it's some great thing to do, but it works. I mean, all the things that you wrote down, I mean, they're just, man.
They're practical. They're practical. From the rich to the poor, you can go to the dollar store. They have cursive writing. They have pads. They have things that you can get. You don't have to go to, a major industry and get this stuff. It's something that everyone can do in every step of life, every season of life. We can give you strategies and tools to help you through. It's just like being a carpenter or being a masonry person. You got to have the tools. Yeah. So you don't have any tools in your toolbox and you're trying to build a house. Good luck. Good luck. So we want to help you build your house, build structure, build routineness that will help you long term. Because I say it this way: pay now or pay later. So if you don't want to invest in a couple of hours today, now you've got a child who's now bigger than you and stronger than you. And, you haven't tried to at least engage them so that they're in a point that they can learn to sit for a minute. I don't care if it's just a minute.
Yeah.
That's a victory. And that's what we're shooting for. Victories.
Yeah. Victories. And I'll just add to it too, that you are really the foundation.
That's right.
Of rock and not of sand.
That's right.
That everything can be built on, because it's been demonstrated in your own life and it's supported by those that have the other resources that we may not have directly.
Right.
So I'm not going to ask you anything else. Thank you.
Well, I just want to applaud you, because within our communities, a lot of times we don't hear a lot of things. And again, I say, because of a lack of knowledge, people perish. And so I commend you for creating the space and place and as an African American man, because we need to see that more. You know, a lot of times we'll see African American female, but to be spearheaded by yourself is just, we are so grateful, and I commend you for that.
Well, thank you. Folks like you out there make it easy. But thank you very much. I am going to let you go. Can't wait to see you on Monday.
Yes.
Fantastic job. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
So like always, conversations with Geoff, we want to just recap things in like 1 minute and ask you to make sure that you take some time and go back and listen to this recording and share this information with your friends. You know, if it's going to be the replay for most of you, you can still reach out to us. Your comments still matter. You can DM us if you need to get contacted right away. And really, 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 I ask you one question like I always do. Can you begin to see your life, the comebacks in your life as a lifestyle, like Tiffany was saying, around the challenges, seeing those as opportunities to grow, seeing those opportunities to physically strengthen your soul and your spirit, right? I mean, can you do that shift? 5 minutes. She says 5 minutes a day. Right? 5 minutes a day, but do it every day, and do it for 5 minutes every day, not 1 minute one day and then skip a day or two and then come back and do, because it will not work. But she said it, 5 minutes consistently leads to children being able to speak, leads to this having a safe place for her children. I mean, so many great things. Anyway, be on the lookout. We're kicking this thing off on Monday, and we're going to deep dive on each subject through the week. So we don't have a date time set up. So make sure you're there. Pay attention to what's going to be posted. Thank everybody that's going to watch the replay, and for those that stopped in. I want to thank my guest again and my friend Tiffany Colvin for laying out a real simple roadmap on a lot of different things that you can pick from to shift your position in your life. So remember this, your comeback now, not later, and let's rise together. Comeback King saying thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank Comeback King Enterprises for all their support, and we'll see you on the next episode. All right, bye-bye.